The facade is collapsing spectacularly behind the closed doors of the Cleveland Browns headquarters, as a seismic organizational shock rattles the very foundation of everything Kevin Stefanski believed he had built, with multiple insiders confirming what whispers had hinted for weeks, that the locker room has decisively turned against its head coach. This isn't just frustration, it's calculated, unified, and a full-blown demand for change, the rallying cry being Shedeur Sanders under center immediately. What we're seeing isn't normal training camp tension or the usual veteran grumbling, it's outright mutiny, with players openly challenging coaching decisions, veterans confronting authority face-to-face, and subtle social media hints exploding into blatant declarations. The Browns' sloppy victory over Green Bay didn't hide dysfunction, it spotlighted it, exposing the rot beneath Cleveland's carefully polished public image. Sources inside the organization describe a disturbing portrait of collapsed leadership, with one veteran defender bluntly stating, "Guys are beyond fed up. We watch him dominate every practice, every drill, every scrimmage. Everyone knows he's ready, everyone except the coaching staff. And it's no longer dividing the room, it's uniting the room against them." Sunday's grind against Green Bay showcased everything broken about Cleveland's quarterback situation. Joe Flacco sputtered with wobbly throws and glaring misses, Dylan Gabriel contributed nothing of significance, and Shedeur Sanders was once again forced to watch from the sideline as lesser quarterbacks stumbled through mediocrity. Cameras captured receivers throwing up their hands in frustration, defenders shaking their heads as drives collapsed, and the body language said it all: this team has reached its breaking point, and the locker room has officially erupted. Behind closed doors, the real detonation occurred, and according to multiple eyewitnesses, raw, unfiltered fury erupted, no diplomatic phrasing, no cautious wording, just direct condemnation of the decision to keep Shedeur Sanders benched. Veterans demanded accountability, and Amari Cooper himself reportedly stood up and addressed Stefanski directly, "Coach, if we want to compete in big games, we need Shedeur under center. Everyone in this room knows it. When are you going to admit it?" Stefanski allegedly tried to deflect with stock cliches about process and development, but players weren't having it. Veterans openly pushed back, creating a tense standoff that required intervention from staff. One staffer admitted, "I've never seen anything like it. Players don't confront the head coach like this unless something is fundamentally broken." And if that wasn't enough, the social media revolt that followed made the cracks impossible to ignore. When subliminal hints turn into explicit messages, the world notices, and Browns players began engaging with fan content demanding Shedeur's promotion. Amari Cooper liked 17 separate posts calling for Sanders to start. Tight end David Njoku posted fire emojis with the caption "Soon." Myles Garrett dropped a workout video set to lyrics about proving doubters wrong, and linebacker Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah shared footage of Sanders threading perfect passes in practice with the caption, "Simply ready." Reporters pressed Stefanski on the sudden wave of player activity, but his stiff deflection "players can post whatever they want" only reinforced the perception that he has lost control of the locker room. Even veteran captains, who traditionally resolved disputes quietly, broke protocol. Sources confirm that team leaders requested a private post-game meeting with Stefanski, and for over an hour, Cooper, Garrett, and Joel Bitonio delivered a unified demand: Sanders gives this team its only legitimate championship chance. This wasn't a plea, it was an ultimatum, and when Stefanski raised concerns about rushing rookies, the veterans immediately dismissed them, leaving no doubt that the coach's authority is hanging by a thread. "Coach, this isn't that," one captain declared. "This kid is different. He's ready now. We're wasting time pretending otherwise." The revolt isn't blind loyalty, it's professional evaluation. Sanders' practices have been nothing short of dazzling, with reports claiming his completion rate in 7-on-7 drills exceeds 90%. Defensive coordinators admit his red zone reads are already forcing them to adjust, offensive veterans praise his command of the huddle and pre-snap adjustments, and receivers rave about his precision. "He throws us open," one explained. "He sees coverages before they develop and puts the ball where only we can get it, that's rare." Even defenders acknowledge his ability to punish any lapse in discipline. As safety Grant Delpit admitted, "You can't cheat against him. He'll burn you if you do. He sees everything." The difference when Sanders takes charge is palpable: the energy surges, the tempo rises, and players believe in him. Guys light up when he's in there. "The whole team feels different," one assistant quietly conceded. This isn't merely a quarterback controversy, it's a ripple effect of confidence radiating across the roster, lifting everyone else and inspiring players normally wouldn't even attempt. Meanwhile, the Flacco dilemma grows impossible to ignore. When experience becomes a liability, veteran presence no longer stabilizes, it sabotages. Joe Flacco was expected to anchor the offense while the younger quarterbacks matured, but instead, his erratic play has become a lightning rod for frustration, fueling discontent with the coaching staff's decisions. Multiple sources reveal players are openly questioning why experience matters when that experience fails to translate into productive football. Sunday's matchup against Green Bay was the glaring proof. Flacco's arm strength faltered on intermediate routes, his lack of mobility left him trapped in collapsing pockets, and perhaps most infuriating for receivers, his timing on precision routes was consistently off. "Joe's a great guy and he's had an incredible career," one receiver said diplomatically, but the subtext was clear: greatness belongs in the past, and the future is standing on the sideline. But this isn't 2012, and the game has changed. The Browns need someone who can stretch the field and create something out of nothing, and that's no longer Joe Flacco's game. Behind the polite words lies deeper resentment, as players privately whisper about Flacco's risk-averse nature strangling the offense's potential. His reliance on checkdowns and conservative reads stands in direct conflict with Cleveland's supposed emphasis on aggression and explosive plays. Even practice film reflects this reality. Flacco looks solid in structured drills, but visibly deteriorates in situational football where improvisation is required. His pre-snap communication is polished yet flat, lacking the fire and vitality his younger teammates inject. "With Joe, you know exactly what you're getting," one offensive player explained. "Safe throws, good decisions, no blunders. But we've got playmakers, and playing it safe isn't always the winning strategy." The contrast with Shedeur Sanders couldn't be sharper. Where Flacco is defined by caution and precision, Sanders thrives on boldness. He attacks vertically, trusts his receivers in contested catches, and embraces risk with an unwavering belief in reward. Shedeur plays like he expects good things to happen, one skilled player observed. Joe plays like he's just trying to avoid disaster. Both philosophies have merit, but only one fuels championships. That's where the generational divide in leadership becomes impossible to ignore. Flacco's reserved leadership appeals to some veterans but leaves others unmoved, while Sanders' emotional, demonstrative style electrifies the locker room and generates momentum. Players have noticed that while Flacco's professionalism is steady, it lacks the competitive edge that elevates those around him. Sanders, by contrast, demands excellence from everyone in his orbit. "Different personalities, different styles," one veteran remarked carefully, "but when you're around both every day, you see which approach actually brings out the best in this team." And in the middle of it all sits Dillon Gabriel, the forgotten man. Once touted as a valuable Oklahoma transfer, Gabriel has faded into irrelevance, his performances consistently overmatched by NFL speed and complexity, leaving him an afterthought in a quarterback battle now boiling down to Flacco's past versus Sanders. Practice reports now highlight regression, struggles with timing routes, missed protections, and visible hesitation in drills. "He's smart and he works hard," one teammate admitted, "but the league moves faster. The windows are tighter. The decisions are bigger." His cautious, tentative style undermines confidence, and the problem is obvious: you can tell he's thinking too much. As one lineman put it, in college, he could rely on pure talent. Here, everybody has talent. You've got to process fast and trust yourself. That contrast has only fueled the calls for Shedeur Sanders. "Both guys are rookies," one skilled player explained, "but one looks like he belongs, and the other looks like he's still trying to figure it out. We need the one who belongs." Meanwhile, Kevin Stefanski himself is under siege. His reputation as a quarterback developer and offensive innovator is collapsing under the weight of this controversy, and the same coach who once guided Cleveland to playoff victories now faces outright mutiny in his locker room. Recent team meetings reflect his shaken confidence. Where he was once commanding, he now sounds defensive and clipped. "He used to be clear and straightforward," one employee noted. "Now his answers sound like politics." Players notice, and assistant coaches are caught in the crossfire. Offensive coordinator Ken Dorsey, tasked with scripting game plans, is forced to design schemes for quarterbacks the players don't believe in, all while knowing the one they do believe in is being left on the bench. "It's an impossible position," one insider admitted.
Even practices reveal the strain, less enthusiasm, subtle pushback, and a noticeable shift in energy.
Players still work, but it's clear the spark is gone. Haslam's fury has reached a boiling point, and ownership is stepping in. Jimmy Haslam's patience has snapped, with sources close to the owner confirming emergency meetings with coaches and front office staff immediately after the Green Bay game. These weren't routine evaluations, they were crisis summits. He's furious, one insider revealed. He's poured everything into building a championship contender, and to see preventable dysfunction blocking that, he's stepping in personally.
Normally a hands-off figure, Haslam has now begun demanding detailed breakdowns of Shedeur Sanders' performance, evaluation metrics, and locker room feedback. His pointed questions cut directly to the heart of the controversy: why isn't the most talented quarterback playing? What message does that send to the team? Are these decisions being made for football reasons or out of stubborn pride?
Everyone in the building now feels the weight of ownership's pressure. Stefanski must not only answer to Haslam but also calm a restless locker room and endure relentless media scrutiny, all while fully aware of Haslam's history of swift, ruthless coaching changes.
Jimmy wants to win, one veteran declared. If he believes coaching decisions are holding us back, he won't hesitate to make changes. Players know it. Coaches know it, too.
Cleveland's demand for change has reached a fever pitch, as Browns fans, hardened by decades of quarterback misery, have transformed their frustration into a unified movement that not only recognizes genuine talent but now demands accountability from leadership. Their reaction to the current quarterback controversy has revealed an unprecedented solidarity, with unwavering support for Shedeur Sanders merging with intensifying calls for sweeping coaching changes. Start Shedeur chants are no longer scattered cries but a thunderous, coordinated refrain echoing through First Energy Stadium, growing louder with every stagnant offensive performance. What began as isolated voices has morphed into a synchronized movement, creating an unmistakable atmosphere on game days. Social media only amplifies the groundswell, with hashtags like #StartShedeur and #FreeSanders trending locally while drawing thousands of interactions from frustrated fans demanding immediate action. Local sports radio has been overwhelmed with callers, all voicing the same message: promote Sanders, and do it now. I've never heard this level of consistency from Browns fans, admitted Anthony Lima of 92.3 The Fan. Normally the fan base is split. This time, everyone's saying the same thing: they want Shedeur playing immediately. The movement has spilled from digital spaces into the streets, with protests outside team facilities featuring professional banners calling for staff changes and Sanders' promotion, escalating fan frustration from online complaints into organized demonstrations. Even national outlets have taken notice, as ESPN highlighted the extraordinary unity of Cleveland's fan base, pointing out that controversies usually divide supporters rather than galvanize them into collective opposition. Cleveland fans have endured enough mediocre quarterback play to recognize genuine talent when they see it, one national analyst remarked. And when the fan base unites like this, it signals something monumental. The spark that truly ignited this movement came from leaked practice footage, powerful visual evidence that validated everything teammates had been hinting at. Unauthorized clips circulating on social media showcased Shedeur Sanders' NFL-caliber arm strength, accuracy, and command in red zone drills. His ball placement, timing, and leadership in the huddle appeared far beyond that of a rookie, confirming what players inside the locker room have insisted all along. "This is why we're frustrated," one teammate admitted. "We see it every day. The kid is ready now. There's no need for a waiting period." Despite official takedown requests, the footage went viral almost instantly, racking up tens of thousands of views and shares within hours. "You can delete posts, but you can't erase what people saw," one fan wrote. Another added, "That looked like a veteran, not a rookie still in development." Former NFL quarterback Chris Sims echoed those thoughts on his podcast. "From a pure quarterbacking standpoint, Sanders looks ready to play professional football right now. I don't know what the coaches are waiting for." Even more extraordinary is the shift from Cleveland's defensive stars, who traditionally avoid offensive debates but are now openly voicing support for Sanders. Myles Garrett, the face of the franchise, has posted cryptic but unmistakable messages on social media hinting at change. His involvement is seismic. "When Myles speaks, the locker room listens," one teammate said. "He usually stays away from drama, but this affects all of us. Defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz has reportedly noticed the difference too, noting that practices feel sharper whenever Sanders runs the offense. The defense tightens up when we face Shedeur, one player explained. He makes us compete harder because if we slip, he'll burn us. That's how practice is supposed to feel. Safety Grant Delpit summed it up diplomatically, we want whoever gives us the best chance to win. I'm not a coach, but I know talent when I see it, and I see it every day in practice. When both sides of the ball start speaking with one voice, coaches have no choice but to listen. As one veteran put it, defense usually stays out of offense business. But this time, everybody's on the same page. That tells you all you need to know. Meanwhile, media pressure has shifted from commentary to outright advocacy. Both local and national outlets are now hammering the same point: Sanders elevates the offense. Productivity spikes whenever he's under center, with practices showing more yards per play and fewer negative outcomes. We don't need spreadsheets to know what's happening, a player remarked. We see it every day. But when the analytics back up what our eyes already tell us, the decisions make even less sense. And as dysfunction mounts, the rest of the league is circling. Multiple teams have reportedly inquired about Cleveland's quarterback situation, hoping to exploit the chaos. Some have asked about veteran Joe Flacco as a steady short-term option, but more surprisingly, others have even checked on Shedeur Sanders himself. Smart executives know when talent is being wasted by politics, one league official said. It's just business. If a gifted player isn't being used, you make the call. The very idea of moving Sanders, however, has infuriated Browns players, many of whom already view him as the franchise's future cornerstone. Several veteran players have reportedly confronted management directly, warning that trading Shedeur Sanders would amount to outright malpractice. As one former NFL executive bluntly put it, dealing away your most talented quarterback just because the coaches refuse to play him would be the most Browns thing ever, and it would also be a catastrophic failure. Fans share that outrage. Season ticket holders have contacted the front office to voice warnings against any move involving Sanders, with many drawing parallels to past disasters in which Cleveland mismanaged promising quarterbacks only to watch them thrive elsewhere. Those historical scars have amplified the urgency of resolving this conflict before history repeats itself, and the alumni community has now joined the chorus, further legitimizing the rebellion. Legendary Browns quarterback Bernie Kosar delivered a pointed reminder during a radio appearance: "When I played, coaches put the guys on the field who gave us the best chance to win. Experience matters, but talent matters more. Fans see it, players see it, sometimes coaches just need to trust what everyone else already knows." Former linebacker Clay Matthews III has been even more direct, publicly endorsing Sanders and openly questioning the staff's decision-making. "Talent is obvious when you see it," he wrote. "From everything I'm hearing, Cleveland has something special. Time to let him show it." Privately, multiple alumni have reached out to current Browns players, offering encouragement and validating their stance. "When the guys who came before you are saying the same things you're already thinking, that means something," one current player admitted. Alumni voices bring historical weight and credibility that fans and media alone cannot, intensifying the pressure on ownership and leadership to act, but the strain isn't only external, it's creeping into the coaching ranks themselves. Behind the scenes, cracks are beginning to form in Kevin Stefanski's staff. While assistants continue to project unity in public, multiple sources describe growing dissent over personnel decisions. Offensive coordinator Ken Dorsey is reportedly caught in an impossible situation, forced to design game plans around rotations he privately disagrees with. "He sees the same things we all do in practice," one insider explained. "Being handcuffed by decisions you don't believe in makes the job 10 times harder." Quarterbacks coach Drew Petzing has also been a strong advocate for Sanders, citing his rapid mastery of the playbook and consistent dominance in practice. His recommendations, however, directly clash with Stefanski's preference for veteran conservatism. Even position meetings have reportedly reflected those divides. While some coaches toe the party line, others drop subtle hints that their evaluations don't align. The unity that once defined Cleveland's coaching staff is now splintering under the weight of the controversy, an ominous sign for organizational stability. In Shedeur Sanders' camp, representation has officially entered the fight. Initially content to allow a patient development plan, his agents are now applying far greater pressure behind the scenes. Meetings with the Browns front office have shifted from cautious optimism to forceful advocacy, complete with detailed presentations highlighting Sanders' practice performance, readiness, and leadership metrics. According to one front office source, they're doing their job. They're presenting hard evidence about his abilities and demanding answers as to why those abilities aren't being used. At the same time, Sanders' agents have quietly begun exploring preliminary trade scenarios as a fallback option, insurance against continued misuse. One league executive framed it bluntly: good agents always test the waters. It's not necessarily a threat, but it's a reminder that talent has options. This new layer of professional representation only adds to the avalanche of pressure already bearing down on Cleveland's leadership, reinforcing locker room frustration and amplifying the urgency for a resolution. This turmoil isn't happening in isolation, it's playing out in the middle of a championship-caliber season.
The Browns' defense ranks among the league's elite, and the offense boasts weapons across the board. Veterans know the truth: subpar quarterbacking is the one thing holding the roster back. "We've got a Super Bowl-level defense and playmakers everywhere," one veteran admitted. "Quarterback is the only thing standing between us and a deep playoff run." The defense routinely delivers short fields and turnovers, yet the offense consistently fails to capitalize. In a division featuring Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson, safe football simply isn't enough. One defensive starter explained, "You can't beat them by checking down and punting. You need someone who can create big plays." National analysts echo the sentiment. "Cleveland has all the pieces except quarterback," said ESPN's Dan Orlovsky. "If they're not utilizing their most talented player, they're wasting everything else they built." For longtime Browns fans and veterans, this saga feels painfully familiar. Cleveland has a long, bitter history of mismanaging quarterbacks, squandering talent through stubborn coaching, flawed evaluations, or outright dysfunction. "This feels like déjà vu," one veteran with deep ties to the organization said. "We've seen this movie before, and we know how it ends if something doesn't change." The message now is unmistakable: players, fans, alumni, media, and even analytics are all aligned. Cleveland has a franchise quarterback ready to go. The only question is whether the coaching staff will recognize it or allow history to repeat itself yet again.